The art of commanding respect and fear, two essential elements of authority that often go hand in hand. Knowing how to balance respect and fear is crucial for asserting dominance and maintaining control. In the world of Game of Thrones, few characters embodied this balance more than Stannis Baratheon. Stannis was feared by his enemies and respected by his allies, not because he was the most likable or charismatic leader, but because he held firm to certain principles and wielded authority with an iron hand. We'll take a deep dive into 5 key strategies that can help you command respect and fear among your enemies, with actionable examples from Stannis Baratheon's leadership and real-life applications that you can adopt in your own situations. Let's break it down. Respect starts with having principles that you refuse to compromise on. Stannis Baratheon was not a man known for his charm. Instead, he was known for his unyielding commitment to justice and his rigid belief in the rule of law. People might not have liked him, but they couldn't help but respect him. Stannis was often described as stern and inflexible, and while this made him a polarizing figure, it also made him someone whose word was ironclad. This approach is rooted in what psychologists call principled leadership. When you stand by your values unwaveringly, people recognize you as someone who cannot be swayed by pressure or popular opinion. In turn, this creates a stable foundation of respect because your decisions become predictable and reliable, even if they're harsh. Develop a reputation for consistency. Consistency is key to being respected. If you are the kind of person who changes your stance based on convenience or bends the rules for certain people, others will see you as someone they can manipulate. To avoid this, identify your core values and make them known. Then, consistently uphold them, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. For example, imagine you're in a leadership position at work. You've set a standard that all team members must meet deadlines without exceptions. One of your top performers, someone who typically delivers, starts slacking off and misses a key deadline. Rather than making an exception, you hold them to the same standard as everyone else. This sends a clear message to the entire team. No one is above the rules. In the short term, it may be uncomfortable, but in the long term, it solidifies your authority. Stannis' rigid adherence to justice is seen when he punishes Davos Seaworth, one of his most loyal followers, for smuggling. Despite Davos being instrumental in keeping Stannis' campaign alive, Stannis still demands that Davos lose his fingers because justice is justice, no matter the circumstances. While harsh, this decision earns him respect because it shows that his commitment to justice is absolute. Mercy is a double-edged sword when it comes to commanding respect. Show too much of it and people start to think you're soft and easily manipulated. Show too little and you risk alienating potential allies and followers. Stannis Baratheon understood that mercy should be given sparingly and strategically. For Stannis, mercy was a calculated act, not a sign of weakness. This principle aligns with the concept of selective benevolence. Leaders who are overly generous or forgiving often find themselves exploited by those who mistake kindness for naivety. However, when you're known as someone who is tough but occasionally shows mercy, it becomes a powerful tool for controlling how others perceive you. People start to understand that if you're showing mercy, it's not because you're weak, but because you've decided it's in your interest to do so. Be selective with mercy. When you show mercy, make sure it serves a larger purpose. Whether it's inspiring loyalty in those who see you as fair or sending a message to others, mercy should always be used strategically. The key is to use it sparingly enough that it feels significant when it happens. In a competitive environment, this could mean giving someone a second chance after a mistake, but making it clear that this is a one-time opportunity. By doing so, you create a sense of obligation and loyalty, while others observe that leniency from you is rare and therefore valuable. Stannis Baratheon, for all his harshness, knew when to show calculated mercy. For example, when he pardoned those who had supported his brother Renly after Renly's death. Stannis needed more troops, and by sparing these soldiers, he reinforced the idea that loyalty to him would be rewarded under specific conditions. This act of mercy was not about kindness. It was about strengthening his own position and demonstrating that even his justice could be tempered if it served a greater purpose. Respect and fear are not only built through actions and principles, but also through how you carry yourself. Stannis Baratheon wasn't known for grand speeches or charismatic flair. Instead, much of his authority came from his presence and his deliberate use of silence. Silence, when used effectively, can be more powerful than words. It forces people to fill in the gaps with their own fears and assumptions. The psychology behind this is rooted in the idea that silence creates tension. In any conflict or high-stakes situation, people are looking for cues on how to act or react. When you remain silent, it creates an air of mystery, and people often assume the worst. Silence also implies that you're confident and in control, because it suggests you don't need to justify yourself or seek validation. Let your silence speak for you. In situations of conflict or negotiation, silence is a powerful tool. When someone expects you to react, whether it's to a challenge, insult, or negotiation tactic, staying silent makes them uncomfortable. They start questioning themselves, wondering if they've overstepped or misjudged the situation. This subtle psychological pressure works in your favor, as it positions you as someone who is calm, calculating, and unshakable. For instance, if you're in a meeting where tensions are high, resist the urge to fill every pause with words. Let silence hang in the air after someone speaks, especially if they're trying to push an agenda that you're not aligned with. Your silence signals that you're evaluating the situation carefully, making others more cautious in their approach. Stannis mastered this technique, often saying very little, but still commanding the room. In his interactions with characters like Davos or Jon Snow, his silence often conveyed more authority than any lengthy speech could. When people don't know exactly what you're thinking, they tend to tread more carefully around you out of fear of provoking a reaction. If there's one thing Stannis Baratheon was known for, it was his resolve. Even when facing seemingly insurmountable odds, he never wavered in his pursuit of what he believed was his rightful claim to the Iron Throne.
The Iron Throne is mine, by right. All those that deny that are my foe.
This kind of unwavering determination is a key factor in commanding both respect and fear. People respect resolve because it shows that you're not easily discouraged. They fear it because it suggests that there's almost nothing you won't do to achieve your goals. This principle is closely related to the concept of grit. Studies show that people with high levels of grit, those who persevere through challenges, tend to be more successful in their endeavors. In leadership, demonstrating grit signals that you're not someone who gives up easily, which can deter others from challenging you, because they know you're in it for the long haul. Be ruthlessly determined. If you want to be respected and feared, show that you're willing to go further than anyone else to achieve your objectives. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being strategic and relentless. When people see that you're committed to a cause or goal, even when things get tough, they'll respect your perseverance and fear the idea of trying to outlast you. In a professional setting, this might look like being the last one standing during a high-stakes project. While others might begin to waver or look for easier paths, you push forward with single-minded focus. Even if people don't agree with your methods, they'll respect your determination and recognize that you're not someone to be underestimated. Stannis exemplified this during his infamous march to the wall. Even when his forces were freezing and starving, he refused to turn back. His men followed him not because they were inspired, but because they knew that nothing would stop him. Not weather, not morale, not even the loss of his family. That level of resolve is terrifying to an enemy because it signals that no matter what you throw at him, he'll keep coming. While it's crucial to be respected, fear is an equally powerful tool when wielded carefully. Stannis Baratheon knew how to use fear to maintain order, deter enemies, and enforce his authority. He wasn't a tyrant who ruled purely through terror, but when he made harsh decisions, they were strategic and designed to send a clear message. This approach aligns with the concept of strategic fear, using fear as a targeted instrument rather than letting it define your leadership entirely. Fear is an effective motivator because it triggers our survival instincts. People are more likely to avoid behaviors that could lead to punishment or danger. But here's the catch. Fear, when used recklessly, can backfire. If people are only afraid of you, they might comply temporarily, but they'll be plotting your downfall the entire time. The goal is to create a balance where your authority is respected, but the potential consequences of crossing you are always in the back of people's minds. Stannis was known for making examples of those who disobeyed him, but he did so with calculated precision. He didn't punish arbitrarily or out of emotion. His actions were deliberate and served a larger purpose, reinforcing his rule and demonstrating that he was not someone to be taken lightly. When you need to command fear, the key is to target it precisely and selectively. If someone openly defies you in front of others, your response sets the tone for how everyone else will view you. This is why leaders throughout history have made examples of traitors, rebels, or anyone who openly challenges their authority. The goal isn't just to punish the offender, it's to send a message to everyone watching. For example, if you're leading a team and someone repeatedly undermines your authority or spreads dissent, a swift and decisive response is necessary. That could mean publicly addressing the behavior and issuing a consequence, like removing them from a position of influence or taking disciplinary action. The message is clear. Challenging your authority has tangible consequences, and anyone considering the same path will think twice. However, this tactic only works if it's used sparingly and strategically. If you're constantly resorting to fear tactics, it loses its impact and can lead to resentment. The goal is to create an environment where people respect you for your strength and fairness, but always have a healthy respect for the consequences of testing your limits. The lesson here is that sometimes the best way to command respect is to show that there are lines that cannot be crossed, and if they are, the consequences will be severe. Fear, when applied selectively, keeps people in line without turning your leadership into a reign of terror. It's important to note that fear alone is not a sustainable way to lead or command authority. Stannis' downfall, in part, was due to over-relying on fear and failing to inspire genuine loyalty and respect in his followers. People followed him out of fear of what might happen if they didn't, but they were never truly loyal in their hearts. This ultimately led to his defeat and abandonment when he needed support most. So, how do you strike the right balance? The answer lies in creating a reputation where your authority is respected first and foremost. But fear is always a silent undercurrent, something that people are aware of, even if it's not always visible. The combination of fear and respect is powerful because it commands both obedience and admiration. You become someone who is not only feared for your capacity to act, but also respected for your integrity, consistency, and purpose. To truly command both respect and fear, you need to blend these strategies into a cohesive approach. Whether in the world of fiction with characters like Stannis Baratheon, or in real life, those who understand how to strategically use fear while maintaining respect often end up on top. Remember, it's not about being a tyrant or letting fear alone define your authority. It's about creating an environment where people respect your principles and understand that crossing you has real consequences. Fear alone leads to rebellion. Respect alone can lead to complacency. But when combined correctly, they create a foundation of unshakable authority. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more insights into commanding respect and power dynamics, hit that like button and subscribe for more.